This program is designed and produced by the community with the support of Cogeco TV.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Our Home with Mayor Sendzik. I'm Walter Sendzik, Mayor for the City of St. Catharines, and I hope you're having a wonderful June. And if you are, and you're out and about, and you've got your mobile phone with you, take some photos. And if you can hashtag Our Home STC, and what we're doing is building a collection of images. We're looking for people to share the beauty of our community and show how proud they are of all that we have to offer here in our city. So we're really building a nice database collection of images that we're continuously sharing through the community and showing the larger community beyond St. Catharines, Niagara, how special St. Catharines really is. And one of the features of a lot of our Home STC hashtags are our parks and our beaches. And today's episode features two individuals who are really on the cutting edge of bringing Parks and Rec in our community to a standard that is first in class. And so for those who are viewers of Parks and Rec, this is not a comedy show that we're having. This is more about the serious side of Parks, Rec, and culture in St. Catharines. So joining me today, we have Jeffery Silcox-Childs, who is the manager of Parks, Cemeteries, Forestry, and Horticulture for the City of St. Catharines. That is a mouthful. He holds a Bachelor of Landscape Architecture from the University of Guelph and has 19 years of municipal experience in both park planning, development, and in operations, as well as over 10 years experience in managing parks and forestry operations staff. He is also passionate about designing and maintaining public spaces, and you'll hear more about that and some of the innovative ideas that Jeffery is bringing to the city. And beside him is Phil Cristi, and Phil started with the city in February of 2013, and he and his family moved to the Niagara region from Ajax. He spent over 18 years at the YMCA in Greater Toronto and was the general manager of the Oshawa YMCA and spent a significant time in community development and philanthropy. Phil and his family are heavily involved in basketball and enjoy traveling. So welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you.
And they are both important parts of our Parks, Rec, and Culture team at the City of St. Catharines. And I want to start with Jeff. So when you look at the parks and the gardens specifically, and the horticulture that goes into it, a lot of people would say, well, we're the Garden City, and that's the moniker we've had for a long time. So what role does the Garden City have, and how does it influence our parks design when it comes to the horticulture?
Well, certainly parks design is a passion of mine. I'm a landscape architect by trade. And definitely horticulture plays a big role in that. People are happy to see flower baskets and well-maintained public spaces, as am I. People are also happy to see responsibly maintained and economically feasible design as well. So we're always concerned about that. It's not just about the design, it's about the maintenance aspect as well. And really you can't separate the two. A well-designed park or space includes the maintenance aspects right from the very beginning of the design.
Okay, so when people drive around the city or they're visiting our parks and they're looking at the gardens, and what goes into determining what kind of plants you have in a space? And I think where I'm going with this is that the city has been talking a lot about developing zones for our parks, 1 through 4. Explain a bit of the approach that you're bringing to the city when it comes to the preparation and design of gardens.
Certainly. We have a report coming out shortly on the horticulture management plan. And within that plan, we took a look at our entire inventory throughout the city and then applied our horticulture resources to that inventory. And basically from that, we're determining what we have the resources to maintain and also what we don't have the resources to maintain. and looking at alternate funding sources where we need to. And as well, looking at really defining what the park should include. And so when people hear neighborhood park, for example, they automatically realize in their mind what that includes. So does it include a tremendous amount of floral beds? Not necessarily. It may include a floral bed, signage. Neighborhood park is meant to be within 800 or so meters walking distance of your home. It's really the green space that serves a local community.
So for the adoption of native species, and you and I had a conversation offline about the importance of native species in our gardens, and I think part of the Garden City term came from the beautification of our community through what would be largely annuals that would be planted into the gardens. And what I'm understanding is that there's a shift, and I think it's an important one as we talk about climate change, as we talk about preservation of our water, protection of our waterways. So talk a bit about that approach and how you're bringing that into the city.
Yeah, there is a shift occurring. You're going to be hearing the term xeriscaping, something I'm quite passionate about. And xeriscaping is essentially it's water-wise gardening.
Okay.
The native species plays into this simply for the fact that native species are used to growing in these conditions. They shouldn't need additional fertilizing, additional water. So that's how the native species portion comes into it. Recognizing that annuals are a costly annual input into our park system, we're also looking at ways to reduce our reliance on annuals, but still have aesthetically beautiful parks with more perennials, woody material, herbaceous material as well.
And so as a viewer, so as a resident who's going around the city, will they notice the difference in the horticultural design of the garden, and what would be something to the natural eye that would attract us to, yes, that's a naturalized garden or a xeriscape garden versus what they might be used to in previous gardenscaping in St. Catharines?
Yeah, well, first of all, they shouldn't notice any difference in the aesthetic value overall. They're still going to be very beautiful, nice-looking displays. However, the xeriscaping aspect really incorporates shrubs, flowers, a whole range of different grasses and things like that. So you can really get a 4-season display as opposed to annuals, which are really, you might get about 4 months worth of color from. So hopefully the one thing people will notice is that what is produced by the beds that they're looking at is a longer season of display. And there should be something pleasing, aesthetically beautiful in every month of the year.
So building on that plus the Garden City image, Community in Blooms is a program that other communities have adopted. So it's something that, again, you and I have talked about. What is Community Blooms, and why would it be important for us to invest in a program like that?
Yeah, Communities in Blooms is it's a program. You can enter it nationally, internationally. I've been involved with it a few different times. And it really speaks about community pride. And it really speaks about bringing an entire community together. It's not just about flowers per se. And I know people hear the word blooms and they automatically think that. But really, Communities in Bloom is about building a community up, certainly using horticulture to do that. But it's about building partnerships. It's about being responsible and sustainable within the community. And it's really about celebrating the community and finding unique, challenging ways to do that. And really that's what the judges are looking for as well.
And we're hoping that Council does adopt the Communities in Bloom approach, as it does generate that kind of pride in a community. And it also really gives color and animation to different parts of our community as we continue to invest in the gardens. An important role, Phil, so I'm going to throw to you for a question or a comment on looking at the gardens in a lot of our parks and then pulling people into the parks. One of your central tasks is programming. And so what is the approach, or what is our approach to soccer fields, baseball diamonds, places like that where we're attracting people into our parks? And talk a bit about our approach to programming.
So the recently approved Recreation Master Plan really challenges us and made some recommendations to make our community healthier, go into more partnerships with other stakeholders, get more people involved, innovate programs and all those kinds of things. So those are the things that we're trying to do. We're trying to give people reason to go to our parks and to our other assets, our pools. And so we're trying to do different things so we can do more things with more people. So just to give you an example, when we book fields or even our buildings or our pools, we want to make sure that, one, we're partnering with the appropriate groups that will serve the most number of people. We want to make sure that our programs are accessible from an affordability standpoint. We want to make sure that our programs are on bus routes so that more people can come. And so, that's the approach that we are taking, because we know that we can do so much more with more people, given the right landscape, if you will.
So what a term that's been used a lot is complete parks.
Mm-hmm.
So for the viewer at home, what would be an example of a complete park, and is it something we're working more towards? So if you could speak to the complete park concept.
Sure. So the outdoor aquatic strategy is a good example of something that might be leading to a complete park. And so when we talk about the future plans, or that one of the things that the aquatic strategy talks about is a destination pool, for example. Mm-hmm. So if we were to get a destination pool at a park that would have parking, shade structures, playgrounds, play equipment, a pool, change house, soccer fields, those are destination type amenities that people would have reason to go to. And so those are the things that we're working towards. We've certainly identified the need for it and the want for it. It's just a matter now for us to find some support around it and behind it, and something we can look forward to in the future.
And another example for what would be an emerging complete park would be Lester B. Pearson. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who have gone out to Lester B. Pearson, you've got the Kiwanis Aquatic Center, you've got splash pads, you've got play gyms, play zones, soccer fields, tennis courts. And so it's an area, got parking, it's an area where you can spend an extended period of time with friends and family and really enjoy the outdoor experience. And after the break, Phil, we're going to come back to you and talk about some of the additions on our summer concert series, and also some of the new developments that are taking place in Port Dalhousie with some of the enhancements that are underway there. And then, Jeff, we're going to come back to you and talk to you about something that we can all eat, edible gardens, and how the investments into edible gardens are starting to show itself for giving back to the community, but also as a way to show community on how to grow their own produce. So we got some exciting initiatives coming forward, and stay with us. After the break, you'll be hearing all about it. All right, welcome back, and this is Our Home with Mayor Sendzik. I'm Walter Sendzik, and we have Phil and Jeff from Parks and Rec and Culture. Always get the culture has to be in there. It's a long title, but I'm getting culture in there. And the reason why I'm bringing culture into it is because not only is it part of the title, but because there is a summer concert series. And I got to say, one of the things I heard when I was campaigning, now almost 2 years ago, was the importance of music in parks, and specifically in Montebello Park, and how that was a signature for so many years, and it had been removed, and there was a push to bring it back. And so this year, we have animation in the park, we're bringing music into the park. And Phil, if you want to just talk about the Montebello concert series and when it is, what it means, and some of the special enhancements that I think the public's going to be really excited for.
We hope so. So starting June 29th, every Wednesday at Montebello Park, 6 to 9 p.m., we're going to have our summer concert series. And the exciting piece for us is that we've partnered up with Niagara College's teaching winery and brewery. And so we're going to be able to add a licensed area, we're going to have food, we're going to have artisan vendors, and so we're really shaping up to have a much better experience at the park. And so that's on Wednesday nights. And we're working on another initiative that we're hoping will come to fruition, and that will be dancing nights at Montebello. So again, music again in the park, but we're working with another partner, or another set of partners that hopefully will be able to bring dancing to the parks.
Is that Sunday night?
Wednesday nights.
What about Sunday? There's not going to be dancing on Sunday nights?
Well, we'll work on it.
Okay, I'm working on that one because that was
Okay.
one of the ones where
Sure.
people really, I'm putting you on the spot here, but people really seem to be taken with dancing Montebello Park Sunday nights. And so if there's an opportunity, but that sounds very exciting, having the park come alive and the moonlight flicks, which are geared towards Lakeside Park, I believe?
Lakeside Park, every Tuesday in August, we're partnering with Ralph de Groot and the Munchmasters again. And so every Tuesday night, we don't have the lineup yet in terms of which movies we're showing, but that information will be up on our Facebook page and our website soon.
Now, putting us at Lakeside Park with the Moonlight Flicks, there has been some investments recently, and there's more coming. A new pavilion, band shell, electrical upgrades, as well as upgrades to the play structures. But one of the new additions that I think a lot of people are going to see when you're out there at Lakeside Park, and I encourage you to go down, the weather's beautiful, is the blue mats. And people are always going to, I think, refer to it as the blue mats, but really they're called
Moby mats.
Okay, and what are they for?
So the Moby mats are actually, we took the model that Wasaga Beach has adopted, as well as many other beaches from across North America, and they've installed these mats on the beach, which makes them accessible. So you can put a wheelchair on it, a walker, a stroller, anything that is a mobility assistive device. Would function very well on a Moby mat. So our Moby mat is installed that leads from the path all the way to the water's edge, and there's another run that's yet to be installed, and that will be installed soon.
Okay. And those are important initiatives because they come out of our 2016-2020 accessibility plan, of which, again, Parks and Rec looks at and says, okay, how do we make our facilities, our parks more accessible? And in addition, it helps with recreation and getting people to be able to use something like the beach, which is important, and get to the water and enjoy the water. So these additions are complements to both the culture and the physical recreation. And I want to bring it back to Jeff in terms of looking at community gardens, because I think community gardens are what brings people together. It helps to foster discussions about healthy eating, and that goes again to the healthy living. So you've been really championing the edible garden, community garden concept. So tell us a bit about it, starting with the pilot.
So those of you who were in the downtown area last year probably noticed that the beds around the library off James Street looked a little different. Not so many flowers, different species, different plants in there. And what that was a pilot project where we basically took ornamental beds that we would normally have flowers planted in, and we converted those into food-growing beds, sort of a cottage garden kind of approach. So we were growing things like squash, tomatoes, peppers, all those kinds of things, the typical stuff that you would grow in your backyard garden. And through that, we were able to produce about just over 100 pounds of produce that was donated to the community care, local food bank. So based on the success of that pilot project, we are expanding it this year to include a couple other locations. And really the idea is, A, to get people comfortable with seeing vegetables and different plants in their landscapes, as well as getting people to realize the things that they can grow in a relatively small space in their own backyards and start producing their own food. So this year, you're going to see traditionally a very ornamental bed, which is at the corner of Carleton and Niagara at the Pearson Park.
Okay.
Yep. So this is what we call a carpet bed. And what that has always been is basically like a large logo or something that denotes a major civic event or a major anniversary or something like that. So this year we've taken that bed and we're converting it into an edible sundial. So it'll be a combination of different plants. It's going to be installed in the next couple weeks. And what you will see there is a large sundial feature in the center of the bed, which we calibrate throughout the year because as the sun angle changes, we have to do that. And beneath it is an arrangement of different edible plants. All of this material and all the produce produced from it will be, again, donated to the community care.
Okay, so that is a very innovative, unique concept. And for those at home who are trying to visualize, it's when you're just outside of the aquatic center, there's the garden bed that's on a slope, and it's on the corner of, as Jeff was saying, Niagara and Carleton, and it features different organizations celebrating significant milestones. So I think last year was the 150th anniversary of the St. Catharines Hospital Auxiliary, and so this year, as people are at the intersection, you're going to see the sundial and the edible food in there. That is a very unique concept. So kudos to you for you and your team for coming up with that. And there's also an edible garden slated for, or has been planted at JC Park.
Yeah, so JC Park is one of our larger parks, and it's a park location where I have staff throughout the summer on site. So what we've done there is taken a piece of land and converted it to a vegetable producing flower bed, essentially. And again, the idea is it's about the message. It's about people realizing what they can grow and what they can do. As well, just stepping back to the Pearson bed, there will be a large sign above the bed that also encourages people in the community to donate their extra produce that they're producing in their own backyards to community care as well. So they're really strong messages. We really want it to be out there and get the word out there and really realize what a community can do when they come together.
So it really does give us an addition to the term Garden City. It's not just about the beauty of the flowers and the natural landscape. It's also the actual term of gardening and growing vegetables.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you talk to some of the older people in the community, the Garden City moniker means different things to different people. And some people it means flowers, hanging baskets, that kind of thing. And to a lot of people it means food production, orchards, that kind of thing.
That's where I grew up with. Born and raised in the community, and with my grandparents, watching them grow their own produce, and then they would jar it during the season, during the season of the fruit or vegetables, and just that to me really was a signal of the Garden City. It wasn't necessarily just the rose garden or other gardens that the city had invested in. So in terms of you got some volunteers that are helping out with this?
We do. We're very excited. We've partnered with the St. Catharines Community Living Association, and we have about 9 or 11 volunteers coming out, and they're going to be assisting us with planting, with harvesting, weeding, mulching, and really it gives an opportunity to bring in a different group and really to reach out to the community and really tapping into that whole compassionate city idea.
So as we get to the end of the show, I do want to touch on one with Phil and Jeff, if you're both having the impact on it. A lot of questions about the old Fairview golf course, and so that's closed, and yet the fencing is still up. Just wondering what are the next steps for the Fairview golf course, because I think a lot of people see this as a opportunity. So I'm going to throw it to both of you.
Sure. So what you'll have noticed is the old building is now gone, and the mini putt structure that has also been removed and it's been sodded over with grass. So currently the space basically functions as a large open park space connecting to John Page Park at the Scott Street side. So it's functioning as one solid park now, as opposed to the park golf course in the past. Through the recreation master plan, we're looking at really what the community needs, what the area needs, and we will be developing some ideas and some plans going forward to decide what actually that physical space will become.
Okay. And so will there be an opportunity for the public to have input into the design scape of that park?
Oh, for sure. There'll be public meetings where we will be presenting several options, and we need that input. We value that input. We're creating spaces, as Phil mentioned earlier, for the public. We need people in these spaces to program them.
Right.
So we really want to hear from the public.
So today's episode has been on parks, recreation, and culture. You've heard about summer concert series, Moonlight Flicks at Lakeside Park, summer concert at Montebello. You've heard about the reinvestments in our gardens and unique and innovative approaches to gardening, community gardens. You can see that when we talk about investing in our city, it's not just in the bricks and mortar, it's the natural landscapes. And that's such an important role. And these two individuals here, Phil and Jeff, they're leading the team on really bringing St. Catharines parks back to life and bringing people into our parks so that they can celebrate and they can be a part of the physical activity, but also the mental side of it as well. There's a mental health a component to having healthy parks and bringing gardens into our parks and having that as part of which surrounds us. So I want to thank both of you for the work that you're doing at the City of St. Catharines. It's important. And for the residents at home, get out in our community, explore our parks and our trails, participate with your friends and family in games in our parks. And if you have any questions about what we're doing in our parks, feel free to reach out to the City of St. Catharines. You can find us through our website, cityofstcatharines.ca, and you can get more information about the community gardens and the programming that we're bringing forward. It's all on our website. So with that, I encourage you to stay active, enjoy all that surrounds you, take photos of your family enjoying our parks, bring them on to #OurHomeSTC, share them with the community at large and share them with the people beyond our community to really showcase the beauty that surrounds us. So have a wonderful summer. I think we've got another episode that we'll be doing for July, but we're in the throes of summer right now. So have a safe summer. And a safety reminder is that when you have kids around water, please ensure to have the safety practices in place. Always keep an eye on your children, whether they're in the pools or in the beaches that surround us. So have a safe summer, and we'll see you on the next episode of Our Home with Mayor Sendzik. Take care.